Top news. Summer House's Paige DeSorbo and Hannah Berner recall hilarious psychic reading on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. Those who don't know who Paige DeSorbo and Hannah Berner are must be living under a rock. Reality TV fans know the duo from starring on Bravo's Summer House. The women also host one of the most successful podcasts in the US called Giggle Squad, in which they discuss pop culture, fashion, their own personal lives, and anything that makes them giggle. While Hannah has found success outside of reality TV as a stand-up comedian, Paige, on the other hand, continues to share her life on Summer House, which is currently in its 9th season. In addition, her split from Southern Charm's Craig Conover has continued to make tabloid headlines. Riding the success of their podcast, and fresh off a headlining tour across the US, Paige and Hannah are releasing their book, How to Giggle, a guide to taking life less seriously, this month. Appearing on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon to promote their new book, the ladies also shared some personal stories that included a detailed experience with a psychic. Paige DeSorbo and Hannah Berner get a giggle out of Jimmy Fallon with their psychic reading. Paige DeSorbo and Hannah Berner are releasing their first book, How to Giggle. On April 10th, Paige DeSorbo and Hannah Berner were guests on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Kimmel to promote their new book, How to Giggle, a guide to taking life less seriously. Jimmy, who met Paige for the first time that night, wanted to learn more about the Giggly duo and how their successful podcast came to be. When asked how they first met, Paige jokingly shared, "We met in the most romantic New York City way. We met in an elevator. I never remembered any man I've ever met, but I remember meeting Hannah. I remember what I was wearing." The ladies then shared that they both got cast on Bravo's Summer House, with Hannah explaining that they trauma bonded. Thereafter, Paige and Hannah teamed up to go live on Instagram during the COVID-19 pandemic. They logged on every night at 10 p.m. for 3 months and quickly built a huge following. "We created this giggly cult of people who want to laugh with us, so now we do it on a podcast." The host then mentioned that Paige and Hannah would share these similar stories in their upcoming book, even having the women share one particular story in which they decide to see a psychic while in Salem, Massachusetts. Paige expressed how they allowed the psychic to say whatever she wanted, even if it was something they might not want to hear. The reality TV stars might have regretted telling her that, though. 10 minutes and I'm like, I want to call my mom, Paige hilariously tells Jimmy. Getting a tarot card reading, she said, she flips the tarot card over and she leans in and she goes, "You're not well." Hannah is sitting next to me and she goes, "This lady is so legit." The ladies then asked the psychic to tell them about their past lives, and this is where it gets interesting. When it came to Paige, the psychic shared, "You were a mom of so many children," with the star replying, "Was I a good mom?" The psychic then added, "All your kids died at the same time." Meanwhile, when it came to Hannah's past life, the psychic revealed to her, "You were a man in your past life, but don't worry, it was a gay British man in the 1600s, and you had great outfits." Paige admitted to being a tad jealous of Hannah's past life. Paige and Hannah are releasing their first book, How to Giggle. Paige and Hannah share how their fans can take life a little bit less seriously. Hannah and Paige appeared on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon to promote their first book, titled How to Giggle, a guide to taking life less seriously. Fans can expect a book filled with personal stories, unfiltered advice, and how to overcome awkward situations. A description of what gigglers can expect inside reads. In an interview with the New York Times, Paige shared that their publisher, Simon & Schuster, insisted that she and Hannah do not use ghostwriters as most celebrities do. They wanted Paige and Hannah to bring their authentic, comedic, original selves that fans adore. Paige jokingly shared with the outlet when learning she and Hannah were releasing their first book, "I was like, I can't wait to tell all of my English teachers from grade 3 to 12 that they were wrong, and I do no punctuation." The Summer House star also added that gigglers shouldn't take their advice too seriously. "It's for the casual reader. I really pictured the girls going on vacation, grabbing this book, throwing it in their bag. Maybe they pick it up on vacation, but maybe they don't even open it." The women wrapped up their highly successful Giggle Squad podcast tour. Hannah and Paige sold out Radio City Music Hall in New York City. The success of Paige and Hannah's Giggly Squad podcast turned into a Giggly Squad podcast nationwide tour. Before they set out on their tour, the women shared with Today what their gigglers can expect. "Be ready to have a night where you're just like, no anxiety," Paige said. "It's just the girls. You're going to laugh, and you're going to be in bed early." Hannah then added, "We hope that everyone leaves, like, best friends." The podcast tour began in September 2024 and concluded in March of this year. In January, Hannah and Paige celebrated a momentous moment in their careers when they quickly sold out their first show in New York City's Radio City Music Hall and decided to include another show the very next night. Speaking to InStyle in April, Paige shared that her "I made it" moment in her career was selling out Radio City. "When Hannah and I did Giggly Squad at Radio City, I'm not a big crier, but I told Hannah we had to walk out on stage before it filled up. I needed to feel it first before the first time we walked out was to perform the show," she shared. "And right as I walked out on stage, I started crying, which is so not me. That was a really big moment for both of us." Paige had also shared that she'd only grown closer to Hannah after their tour. Following their joint appearance on Jimmy Fallon, the reality star posted a set of photos on Instagram capturing their time on the talk show. She captioned them, "Doing life with my wife." Paige and Hannah's new book, How to Giggle, will be released on April 15th.